Welcome to F101 with Friends, your pit stop for all things Formula One. Whether you're here for the stats, the memes, or just figuring out what a chicane is, we've got you covered. Buckle up, because the fun starts right now. Hi everyone, my name is Nisha, a newbie F1 girlie who is desperate to make more friends so that I can talk about this sport all the time. Each week, a new guest will join me on this journey, from seasoned F1 fans to other curious newcomers, and we will explore what it is about this million-dollar sport at gravity-defying speeds that we just can't stop watching. We'll try to break it all down in a way that's fun, relatable, and hopefully try to explain some of the tech talk. We're officially done with 3 insane races, and today let's talk about the first night race of the season, that is Bahrain. Joining me is the most patient person I know who helped me understand a lot of the technical stuff when I first started this F1's journey. Sanjay, welcome to the show.
Hello. First of all, Nisha, I'm so happy that you started this, and what a lovely way to get to know the sport by interacting with others who love the sport as well, The best way to know any subject is by imparting information to others. And because of that, you have to do your own research about it, which gives you so much more depth even when you're watching a race or you're having a discussion about it.
So, Sanjay, just so our listeners can get to know you a little bit better, what got you into F1?
I got into F1 by, basically watching documentaries. Honestly, the first one was the Senna documentary by Manish Pandey. Like, he was so passionate about it when he actually made that documentary. And, it started from there. See, I am a diehard car guy and a motorsports guy. I have been that all my life. And when you get into motorsports, whether you like it or not, these big ticket disciplines like F1 and MotoGP and WRC slip into regular conversations. Because even if you're talking with somebody who's at a much lower tier of competition, he obviously draws inspiration from these people who are operating at like the topmost level.
Correct.
Because they get inspired by them, they aspire to be them. And I've been chasing and documenting race cars for a while, and it just draws you in. It's almost like an extended family, and with wherever motorsports goes, there is going to be controversy, there's going to be politics.
Yes.
And we just love the controversy in politics in F1, don't we, Nisha?
100%. That is why I got into it. It's like, oh, it's not just about cars. Oh, people are shady. Oh my god, I am so in.
Yeah, there's a whole world around it.
So if you were at a dinner party with all of your favorite F1 drivers, what would you like to say to them?
So I heard your previous recordings, and almost everybody says the thing where, they're going to be starstruck and smitten and all those things. And basically, I would try to not sound like a noob in front of these guys, okay? Like, bro, you should have done this like this, you should have done like that. And I'm like, yeah, listen, buddy, please shut up. So yeah, I'm not going to fawn over them. And I'll just remember to, bro, it's like swallow your spit, don't freeze when you're in the presence of these people, I'd like probably ask Hammy to like punch me in the gut to confirm that it's not a dream and this is actually bloody happening, And then of course, like we'll do a little chit chat and, get a couple of drinks in, I'll loosen up more than I should. And I'll be like, guys, I've been meaning to say this for a while, but if you ever need someone to fill in for you, I got you, man. Like I have some go-karting experience, some Formula 4 experience, and I
Nice.
I use my Logitech G29. It has
that's
four.
the same.
It has force feedback, so it's almost like the same, bro. And like I'm a pilot also, so I can handle like 2.5 Gs, little little extra, and I'll build up that muscle. I'll be able to do it, dude.
I love it. I love this interaction. I just want to be a fly on a wall when this happens. I would love to see like the French guys look at you and be like, sacre bleu.
Then they'll be like, yeah, who is this noob? Really? Truly.
I like it. Go from one extreme to another. Best.
Yeah.
So let's quickly talk about Suzuka. I know that we are recording this a little bit in advance, so we have seen qualifying. Did you see qualifying?
Yes, actually, I did. And
Okay, fine.
I just want to slip this in there. When Sunoda qualified one place
I
after
listen.
Lawson,
we-
like I'm sure Lawson would have like a smirk on his face, but it sucks. But then that's the truth of it all, isn't it, Nisha?
I mean, that Racing Bulls is much better than the Red Bull. It's so sad. And because I feel like the Red Bull can be driven by just one person.
Yeah,
And he did what a job he did today.
yeah.
Honestly, I was so okay. The thing is, like, Lando last year was so whiny that he gets on my nerves a little bit. Even though he's better now, like he's more evolved and he's being, mature about racing or whatever. But he was so whiny last year. When he got pole today, I was like, ugh, Max, please come beat him. And as I finished the sentence, Max is like there in front. I was like, I don't care what happens tomorrow.
He just smashed it one purple sector after the other, and just wow.
My God, it was beautiful to watch. And honestly, like every time something like that happens, I'm like, this is why he's 4-time champion. This is exactly why.
Yeah,
Right?
that's exactly what the commentator said. You were like, yeah, this is what you expect from a four-time champion, and he did it. He delivered.
Hello, Nisha from the future here, and I'm happy to let you know that Max Verstappen won the Japanese Grand Prix, and it was beautiful to watch. He controlled the race right from the beginning. Even though they had a slow pit stop, he managed to make it up, and he fought his way through. He also broke the record that Michael Schumacher had for the most consecutive victories, which is insane. I can't believe I've come to a place where I'm actually rooting for Max Verstappen, but you cannot help but be impressed when he puts out such an amazing performance. Yuki Tsunoda, on the other hand, moved from P14 to P12, which is not great, but also maybe he will get there in the next couple of races, and that's all I want to say about that. So let's talk about Circuit International. Like Shanghai, the first race of the season was in 2004 with Ferrari dominating the scene, and I know a lot of people are hoping for the same this year as well. The Bahrain GP starts at sunset and ends under floodlights, which creates a lot of stunning visuals, changing track temperatures that impact the tire wear. It's usually windy as hell, and sand can blow onto the track, which reduces the grip and makes the conditions very unpredictable. They do try to glue the sand down, but it's sand, so it's going to escape. Some quick facts about this race. The first race was in 2004, and this was the first ever Middle East race. That oil money do be pouring down into F1. Drivers will do about 57 laps around this 5.412 kilometer circuit with 18 corners. The current lap record is a 1 minute 31 seconds, 447 milliseconds, and it's held by Pedro de la Rosa from McLaren in 2005. And this is a record that will never be beaten. Sanjay, can you explain why? Like, what is this? This is from 2005. Don't we have better cars now?
Yeah, we do, but then it's like they're all like they've gotten so big and so imposing. It's like they're like cousins on steroids, compared to their earlier editions or the contemporary versions. But no, I mean there are other things as well. The track has changed. I'm not too sure how exactly it's changed, but I do know that it has changed, and that does play an important factor. The cars, they used to run V10s without all of this, hybrid add-on, and hybrids batteries are heavy. So and all the added stuff to work with those batteries to store the energy, to utilize the energy, the electric motors, all that stuff, that just adds a lot of weight. And weight trickles down into the loss of speed, the loss of acceleration. So you're going to have slower lap times, yes. A perfect example of this was, and of course, fuel. So cars were allowed to refuel back in the day, so they did not have to carry like an entire tank of fuel to last an entire race. And more often than not, this was seen especially with Toyota when they were running in the early 2000s. They used to snatch poles. And they used to be running, when they started the race, they would have barely any fuel in their tanks. Because the rule was that you had to start with the fuel you finished with during your qualies. So they would run with almost fumes in their tanks, grab the pole, and then of course they start with no fuel, so they have to do an early pit, and then they, whatever. Um, and the same thing happened in the controversial 2005 US Grand Prix in Indianapolis, which is a story that we'll get into later on at the height of the tire wars. And that is today's topic about tires, but more about this later.
Yes, we will get to that when we explain our F1 jargon. And this is why we have an expert, because just to do justice to this tire business, right? So back to Bahrain. This track has been the season opener recently after the pandemic. But this year it has been moved back to Australia, and the Middle East races are going 4th and 5th to accommodate the Ramadan timings. This is a good season opener, especially if you have rookies on track, because they do preseason testing there. They have some idea of how the car will perform. Not saying that I didn't enjoy the chaos in Australia, but maybe starting in Bahrain would have been kinder. Oh, by the way, my dad used to work for a bank in Dubai, and apparently he got paddock passes the year that 2009, I think, and he didn't go because he thought it would be too noisy. And man, I wish I loved F1 back then so I could be like, Appa, please, we have to go.
Oh my God, Appa, please. Bye.
I know.
It's unfortunate, but then hey, Bahrain, I've heard, is one of the better tracks to go to. I mean, one of the more affordable tracks to go to if you wanted to go see a race, So it's always open, and it's under the floodlights. It's the evening. It's cool, and yeah.
Yes, this is true. So this track was designed by Herman Tilke, the same person who designed Shanghai and India. So if you just look at the track, what does it look like to you? How would you describe it?
How would I describe this amazing, beautiful, state-of-the-art track that one of Herman Tilke's creations? Okay, so it gets kind of wild, okay? But to me, the track looks like an emo flexing its right arm and admiring its bicep.
Yeah, like Rosie the Riveter, but an emu, yes. Yeah, please, everyone look up this photo and tell us if you agree. Because to me, you're right. It looks like the start finish is actually at the tricep of the emu. It goes around the back of the emu's neck, over the head, across the beak. It literally has like a sharp hairpin between the chin and the neck. And then it continues on to the flexed wrist, right?
Yep.
It finally goes straight down at the forearm and then connects back to the tricep. Believe me, once you take a look at the photo, you will agree with both of us.
It's uncanny when you look at it, and I don't think, and dude, that is actually a brilliant way to actually map out a track in your head.
That's what I've been doing for each of these races, especially when I have a certain idea of what the track looks like, and then like when you're watching the race, you'll hear, especially during qualifying, one of the commentators will say, "Oh, why don't you take us through one of the laps?" And it's usually Martin Brundle, right? And he'll say, "Oh, and then we're starting at turn 1, turn 3, turn 7. And I'm just like, I have no idea where we are. But when I picture it like this, or like the chicken wing or the wizard's hat or whatever it is, I'm suddenly like, yes, he is on the chicken wing fat part. Like it really helps.
Yeah, I agree.
So let's break this down by the sector, right? Sector 1, it is a 340 meter dash to this tight right hand at turn 1, or the start of the emo's neck. This is also called Schumacher's turn, and it was named after him 2014 after the news of his awful ski accident. Turn 1 is followed by a left kink that takes you into the first DRS zone. This is one of the best overtaking spots, with the drivers diving down the inside. You miss your braking point and you're off into the runoff area. Turn 4 goes over the emu's head, and the cars can brake a bit late because it's a very gradual curve to the right. But don't wander too far, because we are now moving to the eyes, or the forehead of the emu.
All right. Let's get into sector 2, and that's where it starts from over here, crossing the beak up to the wrist. Here's where the track gets technical, and you need rhythm through the corners and precision on the brakes. Turns 5 to 7 is the emu's head. 3 fast-flowing corners that makes you feel like a dance if you nail the racing line here. It sets you up for the whole lap, actually. So turn 8, the beak, a sharp, awkward right-hander that juts out of the track, much like an emu pecking at the ground. It's easy to lock up here if you misjudge the braking. Turns 9 and 10, this is the emu's lower jaw. It's a tricky downhill left-hander and a double apex that basically forces the drivers to trail brake, which is braking while turning. And a nightmare for grip and a hot spot for tire lockups. And you know, when you lock up your tires, you literally create hot spots on your tire. And you'll deform the tire, and it can create all kinds of things like blistering and whatnot. But while you're doing this, you're trying to get an early entry into the second DRS zone. And after the DRS zone, it goes into turn 10. So the drivers stick to the right side to get a fast entry into the left-hander, into turn 11, because the following section, turn 11 and 12, are basically long SE curves. So you want to carry as much speed there as possible. So entry into turn 11 is crucial.
Finally, we are at sector 3. That starts at turn 13. It's a fast sweeping right-hander, which sets you up nicely for the forearm, which is a long straight, but not a DRS zone, right? So that's an important thing to remember. Not every straight is a DRS zone.
I know, and this track is so huge. I cannot believe they have so many straights. They'll be like, oh, okay, let's make this a DRS zone. We'll skip that one because we have to.
Yeah, exactly. How do they even decide that?
I don't know. I'm sure there must be something in that, but I'm not too sure how they decide to omit a potential DRS zone straight.
Exactly.
Just give one to Monaco, please.
Oh my God, please, when we do... I am not looking forward to the Monaco. But although Monaco might be more fun this year because they've done like a mandatory pit stop. So it might make it a little bit more interesting, but otherwise that's basically just a procession. We will get to Monaco in a couple of months, yes.
Yeah.
But in Bahrain, the last two turns is turn 14 and 15, which is the elbow of the emo. It's a final double right-hander, and although it is two corners, it really swoops like it's one giant right turn. And this is what leads back to the main straight, which is another DRS zone.
Just another DRS zone.
Yes. So please picture the emu, Rosie the Riveter, as I take us both on a sensory lap of the Bahrain International Circuit in Sakir.
Let's go.
Floodlights on and red lights go off. Full throttle down the main straight, shifting through the gears as the lights blur around you. Hard on the brakes into turn 1, a tight right-hander. Get this wrong and you'll either lock up or lose momentum. A quick flick left through turn 2 and 3, then you're back on the power, DRS open, charging towards turn 4. You brake late, rolling the car into the right-hander before diving into the fast-flowing turns 5, 6 and 7. The rear is light, the car is twitching as you carry speed. Turn 8 is a sharp right hairpin, tricky, slow, easy to lock up. Downhill into turns 9 and 10, one of the hardest braking zones. You're turning left while braking. Absolute precision needed here. DRS open again, flying towards turn 11. A long sweeping left where grip is everything. Turn 12 is flat out. Commit or lose time before braking into turn 13. A slower right-hander leading into another long straight. One last challenge. Turns 14 and 15. A tricky double right-hander where rear traction is key. You floor it out of the last corner. DRS open, flying back onto the straight. A lap complete. So, Sanjay, how do you feel?
And I feel pumped, man. It feels like I just want to book my tickets, go meet some of my Habibi friends and get some makboos and like smoke a shisha and like the cool floodlights. Like I love these Middle Eastern races because all of them happen under the floodlights in like even Losail.
Yes.
And dude, it would be what a spectacle it would be, really.
I know, right? But that's only if you get like the fancy paddock pass, right? Otherwise, if you're sitting with the, what do you call it? Janta.
The janta. The plebs.
The plebs. Then suddenly you're just sitting and sweating, hoping for something interesting to happen.
You'll be basically watching it on your phone.
You know, it's so funny. Like, I think this was the Shanghai race where Ollie Behrman's dad was in the Haas garage. And he's sitting there in the paddock, in the premium place, but he whips out his phone and he's watching his son's onboard or I don't know what. It's like, doesn't matter how privileged your treatment is. You can have the best seat in the house. You will still open F1 TV.
Dude, that's the truth, dude. These tracks are so massive,
Yep.
You just, can't fathom it.
So, the Bahrain International Circuit, or Halba Al Bahrain Ad Dawliya, began construction in 2002 in Sakir. So, the Crown Prince was a motorsport enthusiast and he won a bidding war beating out Lebanon and Egypt. As we got closer to the first race, though, the organizers were worried that the circuit would not be complete in time and they attempted to cancel the event. But recurring character and eccentric uncle Bernie Eccleston refused this request. Remember when we were talking about controversies and drama?
Yeah.
God, I love Bernie. You cannot say controversy in F1 without saying Bernie Eccleston.
Speaking of which, before you continue, so Manish Pandey, who made the documentary for Senna, also made, I think, like a 5 or a 6-parter on Bernie called Lucky.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and it's quite an interesting listen, quite an interesting watch. It's on video, but then the video is not very interesting because it's just Bernie sitting in front of a white color wall and speaking. I don't know where it's available.
I will see if there's a link somewhere and we'll watch it because that sounds very interesting. I would love to know the life and times of
Bernie Anna. Bernie Anna, I'll put it.
Okay, perfect. But yeah, so basically the organizers were like, Bernie Anna, this circuit and all not ready on time. He's like, I don't know all that. You go race now. So in the end, the circuit was not quite fully complete, but it was good enough for the Grand Prix to go ahead. And the circuit has been changed to accommodate like proper FIA requirements since then. The Bahrain GP has faced several controversies over the years, and it has involved a lot of key figures in Formula One. And there have been a lot of debates about the sport's role in countries with human rights concerns.
Yep, and I'm not surprised that it is, and I'm sure the same exists for Qatar. In Qatar as well. Okay, but anyway, back to this. So in 2011, there were widespread anti-government protests that erupted in Bahrain as part of the Arab Spring movement. And these events led to the cancellation of the Grand Prix, originally scheduled for March 13th, which is also my birthday.
Oh my God!
Yeah. F1's governing body, the FIA, initially postponed the race with hopes of rescheduling. However, teams expressed concern over the ethics of this, and the former world champion Damon Hill had said, "We will forever have a blight of association with repressive methods to achieve order." This collective apprehension led to the race cancellation for the 2011 season.
The following year, it got even worse. There were ongoing unrest and reports of human rights abuse. Reports emerged of individuals, specifically journalists and photographers, facing a lot of repercussions for protesting against the Grand Prix. Unlawful arrests, torture, the works basically. However, the race went on as per schedule. This decision attracted criticism from various human rights organizations and activists who argued that hosting the race could be seen as an endorsement of the Bahraini government's actions. F1 has maintained that it seeks to be a positive influence in host countries, emphasizing that events like the Grand Prix can foster economic and social benefits, which sounds like something a PR person wrote. Now, this has been a recurring theme for Bahrain, and even Lewis Hamilton has spoken against it. But this is classic sports washing, right? And the Middle East has been getting away with this for a very, very long time. And they will continue to do so. But it's the most affordable for us, man. Let's go and give some money to the Bahraini government.
I know, that's the upside over here.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But the Bahrain Grand Prix has had some amazing moments over the years. Sanjay, why don't you get started?
All right, cool. So, 2014, it was called a duel in the desert between Mercy's teammates Lewis and Nico. And, very often you do see some light jousting that happens within the teams, but a lot of it is kind of, amicable, but Lewis and Nico is like, whoa, like, they were at loggerheads with each other, and it was quite intense at the time. So under the floodlights, these two just battling wheel to wheel for the win, swapping positions. And Rosberg had the advantage of fresher tires, but Hamilton is known for his defensive driving and was impeccable in holding off his teammate. And he took the victory, and is still considered one of the best inter-team fights in F1 history. Not only the race, but just those seasons where it happened.
In 2020, Romain Grosjean had a horrifying crash in the opening lap, which absolutely stunned the world. His Haas car split in half and burst into flames after hitting the barriers at high speed. Miraculously, Grosjean escaped the fireball with just burns on his hands, thanks to the Halo device and quick action from the marshals and improved safety measures. His survival was hailed as one of the most miraculous moments in modern F1. And the number of reels that I've seen about this, like the moment I'm on Instagram, and I'm on Instagram a lot, I hear, "Let this guy fall." I know it's
Oh my god. Yeah, you're so right. Dude, that crash was just frightful. It was like a wake up call. It's like a reality check, You'd be like, okay, fine, you want to be in motorsports? Yeah, it's all glamorous and all that. And then something like this happens and you're like, whoa. I think he crashed at like 240 Ks, and I think when he hit the barriers, I think it generated almost 52 Gs.
Ooh.
Now you know where all those neck muscles come in, and the
neck
muscles and
all the gym body,
neck muscles and the sheer will to live.
Yes, actually, I've seen his interview that he was talking about what he thought about as this was going on.
Yeah,
he said he had an actual conversation with death. I forgot what he called it. It was some French name. It's he said he apparently spoke to death and he remembered his kids and he said, no, sorry, not today. Like he literally said not today, and then he pushed himself out. Like that whole him describing the way he escaped is just beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's absolutely terrifying. To escape with barely any burns, just like his hands, is insane.
Yeah, I remember as soon as he got out of the car, he was violently shaking his hands, because I can just imagine the heat that's being generated in that fireball. Literally fireball.
I know. Yeah. And I think I've mentioned this in one of the previous episodes as well, but basically like he moved to something else, some other racing after
Indica.
that.
Indica.
Was it Indy?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
And then like his car caught fire there also, and the commentators were so ruthless. They were just like, "Oh, he must be used to this." I'm like, are you serious, my guy? Like he almost died.
I guess when you're so used to seeing stuff like this happening in motorsports crash, you just treat it as any other crash, which is
I guess.
Yeah, it's very desensitizing or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's like if you didn't die, you're fine.
Pretty much, yeah. So, alright, so moving on. So, Soccer 2020, we saw George Russell step in for Mercedes after Lewis Hamilton tested positive for COVID-19. That's what we saw, young George just getting into Mercedes, and so many hopes for him, and amazing. The young Brit was on course for a fairy tale win, outpacing teammate Valtteri Bottas. But a botched pit stop and a late race puncture cruelly denied him victory. And George, this has happened to him multiple times. This is where he's been denied victory, and it's a major heartbreak. And his performance cemented his reputation as a future star. And we're seeing him today as well, proving his worth in that team.
In 2021, the season opener at Bahrain delivered an intense battle between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. Verstappen overtook Hamilton late in the race, but he was forced to give the position back after exceeding the track limits. Hamilton held on for the win, setting the tone for the championship that year, especially with the FIA and their very dodgy decisions.
My God, that's a separate episode on its own, isn't it?
Oh my God, it really is.
So most recently, 2023, Fernando Alonso's masterclass stole the show. Aston Martin driver pulled off stunning overtakes on Lewis and Carlos as well, and he claimed the podium, and proving that 41 years old and he can still kick ass. And then, as he made the pass, he's like, yes, bye-bye, after passing Hamilton. That's just real worthy stuff, dude, really.
Man, in 2023, Fernando Alonso was the TikTok person of the year, right? It was.
I know.
I was like, what? This 40-year-old? I love it though.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's getting close. So he said that this is going to be his last year. He wants to make way for new talent to come into the sport.
Really?
Yeah, and I think because of that, he's just become so much more lively and vibrant because he's like, yeah, I'm not going to be here for long. I'm going to be on the sidelines from here on now, so I'm going to make the most of it. And
Yeah, Bahrain has delivered its share of drama, but it's more important to watch out for strategy and pit stops in this race because that is when the positions are decided, right?
Yep.
The 2024 Bahrain Grand Prix sort of set the stage for the new season, which had a mix of dominant performances, strategic battles, and a few unexpected struggles. So Red Bull picked up right where they left off in 2023, with Max Verstappen leading every lap from pole to secure a comfortable victory. His teammate Sergio Perez started fifth but made steady progress to finish second, making it a Red Bull 1-2. And while the team's pace looked unbeatable, some people were questioning whether anyone could really challenge them this season. Because honestly, everyone saw that season opener and we were like, okay, great. So 2023 repeat, right? Max is going to win everything.
No, it's a wrap, pretty much. Ferrari had an eventful race with Carlos Sainz clinching third after an intense battle with his teammate Charles. Again, light, playful jousting, not like Hammy and Nico.
That's true.
So Leclerc struggled with tire degradation and a few costly lockups, which saw him slip behind Sainz, despite looking stronger early in the race. First race for Sainz on notice period, and it was everything we wanted.
Mercedes had an up and down day. George Russell showed early promise, but he had to settle for fifth because there were a lot of power unit issues. Lewis Hamilton, meanwhile, had a miserable time. He had a cracked seat, battery issues. He pulled that car across the line in seventh, and he was sounding less than pleased over the radio. He was just like, guys, we have to do something about this. Guys, hey man.
And at the end of it, if somebody went and asked him, he still would have thanked the team. Like, yeah. Thanks to the team. Thanks to the guys. Thanks to the guys back,
Thanks to the guys at the factory. Man, he's not PR trained. He's PR brainwashed.
I don't know. I don't know if he was conditioned that way. Probably he was. Like, his daddy, really molded him into being, the dream candidate,
Yeah. In that way, I feel like, even considering how similar their lives were between Lewis and Max, having their dad's influence over their race career, they grew up to be the exact opposite of each other. Lewis is like, oh, I'm going to be, not on track. I'm saying off track, right? Personality wise.
Yeah.
Lewis is all like, oh, I'm going to be all stiff upper lip, Brit, diplomat. And Max is like, if my mom had balls, she'd be my dad, Dutch as they come, right? They're like, I don't have time for this.
Yeah, no, a real lack for. He's just not very empathetic, is he?
He's really not.
Well, he has changed. The Max that we knew,
that is true.
When he started, completely different character.
Maybe fatherhood has brought him into this new personality.
Probably. I think maybe he just understand that not everything needs to be so intense. And he just becomes so much lighter. He jokes around in the pits, he seems smiling every now and then.
Yeah.
I like this Max.
Me too. Now that he has 4 championships, I think he's like, okay, now I'll chill a little bit. I'll still win. I'll still be amazing. But I'll chill with the rest of it.
Yeah. It's become a lot more approachable. I might have him at my dinner party, who knows?
Your dinner party? Nice.
So back to this. McLaren had a solid start to their season. Lando Norris securing his best Bahrain finish since 2021 in 6th place. And Piastri held on to 8th. Both drivers seemed satisfied. McLaren looked competitive, as they are today as well.
Aston Martin also bagged a double points finish with Fernando Alonso in 9th, making history as the first driver to score points in 20 different F1 seasons. Lance Stroll had an eventful race, bouncing back from a turn 1 tangle to finish 10th.
So further down the order, Kick Sauber's Zhou Guanyu, who is not on the grid currently, and
He's not.
anyway, put in a great recovery drive to finish 11th after gaining 6 places, while Valtteri Bottas had a nightmare of a race. Poor guy, ending up in 19th after a disastrous pit stop due to the wheel nut issues. 52 seconds he sat there, unable to move, while the crew was struggling with the tire to get that thing off.
Have you seen the new system that Kick Sauber has now? So the wheel itself has like a light system. So if they when they put the gun to it, if the tire is fit properly, it turns green, or it's if it hasn't, it stays purple, which is it's the most baby way to tell a pit crew person that, hey, the wheel is not on. But I guess they needed that kind of system so they don't make this mistake again. A minute is insane. A minute just sitting there, my God, that's bad.
I know, and these cars all get really, really hot. Really, really hot. And Valtteri has just been, kill me now.
Yeah. But so Haas's Kevin Magnussen, who's also not on the grid, defended very well to finish 12th, while Nico Hülkenberg ended up 16th after suffering front wing damage on the opening lap. The Racing Bulls race was marked by some late race drama, with Yuki Tsunoda being asked to let Daniel Ricciardo through in the final laps. Tsunoda did so begrudgingly, letting Ricciardo take 13th while he finished 14th. The team orders clearly frustrated Tsunoda, who was like, he's not even fast. You could hear him venting his frustration over the radio, even at the end, and then attempting to overtake Daniel in the cool down lap, which was so unnecessary.
That's the Yuki we love.
We do love him.
Right. And Williams, okay. Now to the last team over there, Williams, they had a tough start to the season. Alex Albon nursing cooling issues all race to finish 15th. While Logan Sargent had a bizarre moment where his steering wheel shut down.
Oh my God. That was insane.
How does a steering wheel shut down? It's a steering wheel. But then, it's all drive-by wire nowadays, so hence it shut down. And that caused him to go off track and finish last. Alpine, meanwhile, had a forgettable weekend with Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly managing only 17th and 18th. Ouch.
I know. I can imagine Logan Sargent just sitting there, and then you can hear windows in the windows noise in the thing. It's just like 10 10 10 10. It's off.
Yeah.
Oh, what? But yeah, it wasn't a very action-packed race, but there was one remarkable statistic that stood out. For the first time in F1 history, all 20 drivers finished a season opening race.
Wow.
Which is, we didn't have that this year.
Oh, yeah. You're right. We haven't actually.
Yeah, we have 24 races to go. Someone will be right.
Yeah.
But Bahrain isn't just about speed. It is a test of endurance, strategy, and who has done their homework.
Yeah. Now, first up, car setup. Bahrain is a tricky one because you need a balance between straight line speed and stability through the slow technical corners. They do also have 3 long straights where top speed matters, but also some big braking zones. Turn 1, turn 10, where you need strong rear stability to avoid locking up. So the teams need a medium downforce setup over here, and this is where they have to find that sweet spot between straight line speed and cornering grip. And because of this, because of the hard stopping corners that they have, the brake cooling is a huge factor. Bahrain's high temperatures and heavy braking zones puts a lot of stress on the brakes. Teams have to be really careful with cooling. Too much and they lose efficiency. Too little and the brakes can overheat.
And it is going to be a nice 28 to 36 degrees Celsius there. And that sounds terrifying to me already. Because track temperatures will be higher, which means everyone will try to save their tires, and then we'll have that last few laps shootout, right? Bahrain is known for its high tire degradation, which means we almost always see multiple pit stops. The most common strategy is a 2-stopper, with teams starting on soft tires for grip and then switching to harder compounds to manage the wear.
Yep.
Some teams might try a one stop, but it's very risky because managing tire wear over such a long stint can be tough. It might be George Russell. You know, he's that guy who like pull out some strange strategies, be like, I can take this one tiny tire, which is basically a rubber band at this point, and I will drive it all the way to the end. Also, the pit lane in Bahrain is one of the longest in the calendar, so timing is everything. There's also a 50% chance of a virtual safety car. So I'm hoping there will be a lot of like strategy, and that's what you have to pay attention for at Bahrain.
Yep, definitely.
So we've been talking about tires for a while, and I know you teased it in the beginning. So let's talk about F1 and the question of the tires, right? So Pirellis have always been associated with F1 for a very long time. In fact, even as early as the first race itself back in the 50s. But they were the sole supplier only from 2011 onwards till today. This is after Bridgestone pulled out. So F1 floated a tender in 2023 and only Pirelli and Bridgestone were the ones who registered interest. The previous times, Korea's Hankook, who is the supplier for Formula E, made a bid in 2018, but Pirelli still took it away.
So I think that the tender duration ends in 2027. Oh. And there is kind of a fear that there's nobody who's going to come forward to take over after Pirelli goes. So now that Bridgestone has already registered interest, they are considering getting Bridgestone on board, while their interest is still being registered. And there's a reason behind this unsurety. It's not like tire companies are jumping at the chance of being in the sport. Sure, there is a lot of glam and a lot of PR that comes with associating with a sport like Formula One. But we'll get into that a little later. Before that, let's just go through a little history where, it always wasn't like this, where you just had one supplier for the entire grid. During the 50s and 60s, there were as many as more than 6 suppliers for the Grand Prix Championship. Dunlop, Firestone, which is now owned by Bridgestone.
Right.
Continental, Goodyear, Engelbert, Avon, and often the conditions of the track or the type of track would dictate which brand was chosen, as not all suppliers were equal in terms of tire technology at the time. Now it's kind of reached like a level playing field, sure, but at that time people were still developing it. They were still they were still catching up to each other.
Okay.
All right. For example, Dunlop wet tires were known to be better than Firestones. Dunlop also pioneered using nylon instead of cotton thread and synthetic rubber instead of natural rubber, which saved a lot of weight. So they were still making a lot of these gains, and then everybody else started catching up, of course, naturally. So the Dunlop tires also were known to last longer because they had threads on them by default.
By the 70s, when tire technology started leveling out and as proper constructor teams were established, they started associating with tires that they were going to use in the road cars because that's just sensible PR. Race on Sunday, sell on Monday. By the mid-90s, we were down to 2 suppliers, Goodyear and Bridgestone. In 1998, Goodyear pulled out of F1 because the FIA mandated that the suppliers put grooves on their tires to limit performance. This was after Jacques Villeneuve beat his previous year's lap time in Australia by a whopping 3 seconds in 1997. Goodyear just never returned, and that's a loss for the sport.
Yeah, you don't want it like a manufacturer like Goodyear with the kind of the wealth of experience that they have, I think to date they still have the record for the most number of F1 wins. And for a supplier like that to go away and say, yeah, we don't want to be associated with F1 anymore, that's horrible. That says something, So competition is what fuels progress, as it questions what is possible, what will work, what won't work, make and break. And motorsports is a perfect testing ground for all of this. It pushes them to make, break, improve. If manufacturers are not given this freedom, then there's no point. So, Goodyear came up with their cross-ply tires, which was groundbreaking technology, and it still holds good today. Other manufacturers, seeing this, developed their own version of the same, and they upped their game, and that improved the overall tire technology across the globe. And if motorsports is supposed to be an R&D ground for various manufacturers of components, then F1 currently is not that platform for tire manufacturers, which is why they will happily go to World Endurance Championship, because they run races for 6 hours, 12 hours, 24 hours. versus F1 that just runs for 90 minutes plus the practice and qualies and whatnot. The problem lies that F1 needs to be a spectator sport. F1 wasn't always the spectator sport that it is today, because tracks are huge. You cannot spectate the entire track, but what makes it a spectator sport is, of course, racing, close-knit racing.
Correct.
So everything is designed with this in mind. The cars are performance balanced to a great degree so that they can be closer to each other. DRS, aero packages, and tire degradation is built into the rules so that we can have tighter, more close-knit racing, because otherwise watching 90 minutes without any overtakes can get quite enduring for us. Right? I mean, you were just saying Monaco can be just so blah of a race because it's just that. There's no overtaking, especially with these big cars that are there.
Michelin CEO Florent Menegaux recently said in an interview as to whether they return to F1 that they don't know how and don't want to make tires that destroys themselves, which is ouch. Right?
That just speaks, right? Because someone like him is coming and saying, I don't want to be associated with F1.
Yeah, which is just sad. But, okay, so whenever we start watching the race, I hear Crofty go, so we're going to have the C2, C5, C3, whatever. He says a bunch of names, right?
Yeah.
How do we select the right tires?
So, I believe that there's 7 types of tires today. There are 5 types of dry tires, and then there's the intermediate and the wets. Those are the Cinturato tires.
6. It's up to C6 this year.
Oh, it's up to C6 this year. Okay, fine. So C1 is C6. So C1 being the hardest and C6 is the softest. So how do you choose the hard, medium, and soft amongst these 6 options? It comes down to track temperature, the quality of the tarmac, and of course the load on the tires being exerted on the corners. So if you have tighter corners, faster corners, that's going to increase tire degradation. For instance, Monza being a fast track would uses generally C3, 4, and 5. Maybe this year they'll be using 4, 5, and 6. I'm not too sure. Because it's known to have much longer straights. And a track like Bahrain, for instance, uses C1, C2, C3, since they have faster corners, hard braking zones, and higher track temperatures. So it only makes sense that you use it C1, C2, C3, because otherwise the tires will just degrade way, way too fast.
Yeah.
Well, story time from me, I guess.
Yay!
Yeah. So we spoke about the 2005 US GP or the Indianapolis GP, where we spoke about how Toyota grabbed the pole position over there because they were just running on fumes. So at that time there were 2 tire suppliers, Bridgestone and Michelin. Okay, the track had also been recently resurfaced, and Indianapolis is originally a NASCAR track or an oval track. Right. So they have a huge bank angle on there, and they just use that one portion of the bank angle as part of the track, and then the infield of the track for the rest of it. Okay. Yeah. So over there, they had some serious tire failures. The Michelin cars particularly had tire failures. And I remember Ralf Schumacher, who was racing for Toyota at the time, he as well had a massive crash into the wall, and I think he had a concussion or something like that, and he was not allowed to race for the next 6 races or something like that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it was very, very Michelin said that it is extremely unsafe for us to race over here. The only way we can do something about it is by creating a chicane. Or the Michelin run cars would run slower in that part of the track, which would give the Bridgestone cars undue advantage. Yes. Or they would literally have to run the cars through the pit lane. Now, of course, Bridgestone, they'd be like, no, this is not fair. We came with our package, you came with your package, so why should we step down? So run it how it is. And also, Bridgestone owns Firestone. Firestone supplies tires to IndyCar. So IndyCars ran over there, and they knew that this was a pre-existing problem, and obviously Bridgestone had this insider information. So so they it didn't apply to them. This problem just did not apply to them. My God. So they overcame this. So in a turn of events, what happened was the cars came out on their formation lap, and all the Michelin run cars, one by one, slowly started filing into the pit straight. and they all retired.
Oh, wow.
And the Bridgestone cars, which was literally three teams, Ferrari, Minardi, and Jordan. Naren Karthikeyan was driving in Jordan at the time.
Yes.
There were 6 cars on the grid.
My God.
And they started the race. And they raced the race. And the fans were like, we want our money back.
That is insane. Like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that was like the height of the tire wars, at that time. And people always ask, are they going to be tire wars again? I don't know. Maybe. Let's see. I hope so. It's interesting.
I hope so too. I think I would love to watch that.
Yeah, but it'd be interesting how they would bring in the budgets for something like that. Because, back in the day, Pirelli used to supply tires for the back markers. I think Goodyear used to be for the cars that were leading the pack because their tire technology was just better than Pirelli's at the time. So back markers, because they didn't have higher budgets, could afford Pirelli's. So I don't know how that would factor into this. It would be interesting to see that.
I feel like if it's something that the FOM thinks will add more spectators and they could make more money on the F1 tickets, they might consider, okay, this is how we make this happen.
Yeah, I know. Right now, tires is not, they're not contention. They're not in contention for competition. It's more of a business venture for them right now,
Right, yeah.
At least in Formula One.
But that is a wrap on the Bahrain Grand Prix. But before we sign off, I need to hear from Sanjay. What is your boldest prediction for the 2025 season?
Okay, fine. So I am slightly Mercedes leaning. So I would like to see George Russell, getting up there. As hard as it may seem for me to actually visualize that, but from a constructor standpoint, I could definitely see Mercedes fighting with McLaren for that top tier.
Really?
Yeah, I could. I mean, but then that puts a lot of weight on young Kimi.
Yeah,
Antonelli.
I was going to say.
It puts a lot of weight on him, I know. But let's see how it pans out, I mean, these are projections, so just go bold.
Correct. I'm really impressed with what Kimi has done so far. To hold his own and, not... Because he's 18 years old. He's a baby. He has no idea. And the one time that he was able to run on the track last year, he crashed it immediately into the wall.
I know.
So I think given all of that, I think he's doing pretty well. I think he's had some really cool saves in the rain. And apparently in the lower categories, he's been very good with wet weather racing. So it's fair enough, I think, to put that kind of pressure on him. We'll see. It'll be really good to see. So you don't think Ferrari is gonna up their game?
Well, actually, all three of them can be contending for that 1-2 position, because I think they're up there.
Right.
But Ferrari just needs to not get disqualified and things like that. They need to wrap their scene up and get serious about it, really.
I think so, yes. Hopefully they will. Lewis Hamilton took the entire team out for bowling when they were in Japan. So maybe they've done some team bonding and they come back better than ever.
Nisha, I would never know these things if it wasn't for you. I swear.
This is the benefit of spending all your time on the internet.
Yeah, I know. And then, when you mentioned about getting pit passes and things like that. Yeah. So I'm depending on you to get to that state where they be like, Nisha, please come and view our race from the pits. Please be our promoter, our influencer and all. And you'll be like, hey, can I get a buddy along with me?
I know. You have to stand in line. There's a lot of people who are counting on me for that.
Hey.
But yes, let's see, fingers crossed, because right now I see a lot of influencers, fashion influencers at an F1 race. It makes me cry a little bit.
Oh, that's probably because of Mr. Fashion Forward Lewis Hamilton, dude.
It is not. That's the sad part. It's just some rando people, which it makes no sense. In fact, the influencers that I've seen around Lewis Hamilton are actual fans. There was this one guy in Japan. He dyed his entire hair yellow and he styled it like a helmet, and he put all the Lewis helmet design on his head. And Lewis was so impressed. He was like, what is this? I mean, I'm into it. I love it.
We just don't know what's in store for us when it comes to Japan, because the fans are just so creative with the things they do,
I love. Did you see those? I mean, I'll send you the video if you haven't seen it. There were three kids who were dressed up as Leclerc, Norris, and I'm forgetting the third person. But like full gear, like helmet, suits, everything. And there was all the comments under it were Yuki Leclerc, Yuki Norris. But yes, it was quite cute.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the Japanese Grand Prix tomorrow.
Yes. That's on our... Yes, I know you're listening to this on Wednesday and this has already happened, but come back in the past with us. Speaking of the future, next week, Jeddah, we will be talking about one of like a slimmer racetracks. So stay tuned for that. To our amazing listeners, what do you think? Drop your hot takes in the comments, send us a message or tag us in your wildest predictions. Don't forget to follow, subscribe and share F101 with friends, because this community is just getting started. If you have any queries or you want to be a friend on the pod, please reach out to me on Instagram. The link is in the description. Special shout out to Ashwati and Kevin who support the podcast, the cover art and also my mental health. Thank you, Sanjay. I have been your host, Nisha, and I will see you on the next episode of F101 with Friends.